a little bit. Hey, my coach is in the NFL, but I'm excited, man, that I was able to help them accomplish what we accomplished this year. And I'm happy to be back here in Detroit in this locker room with a great group of guys.
How'd you turn the program around back there?
Just with coaching, and surrounding them with more coaches than they had previously. The year before, they probably had about 8 coaches. This year, we probably have about 22 coaches. So, when you can get them mentors and, place different men in their lives who walk different paths, it was very beneficial.
I know you wanted a coach to impact their lives. Did it, inspire anything in you to want to coach NFL?
Nah.
Okay.
I love my sleep. In NFL, these coaches be here 4 in the morning, leaving 1 in the morning. Nah.
What kind of perspective did that give you coming back here now and playing again?
I mean, I haven't really put it into perspective yet. Happened so fast. I was just celebrating Christmas and on a flight the next morning, so still taking it all in.
We know you're still chasing the ring, but what would it mean to bring home a championship with Dan and Aaron, especially with those guys that wanted to bring you here, and how much you mean to them and they mean to you?
I think a lot of people don't understand the relationship that Dan and I have and AG and I have. It goes back to our New Orleans days, and it goes beyond football. I watched those two, the way Dan prepared the tight end room when we were in New Orleans, the way AG was with defensive backs, and I watched the way those guys grew in their system from the tight ends to the defensive backs. Talk about Marcus Williams, who's in Baltimore, Von Bell, Marshawn Lattimore, and those guys. And then just following those guys' journey and knowing the impact that AG and Dan had on those guys, it's like, man, these are 2 men who I can look up to. I'm 32 years old. I'm not too old to look up to someone. And, what better 2 guys than to idolize?
Was it always Lions or bust? Was there other teams that you considered at all? Or?
Yeah, it was Lions or bust. I mean, it's always opportunities in the NFL, especially when you're a quarterback. But Dan and I, man, we kept in touch outside of football. Like I said, our relationship goes beyond the gridiron. He's a great man who, he checks on me, checks on my family, my well-being. So who wouldn't want to come back and work for a guy like that?
Indeed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Main Event Football Show. As I, Main Event Mike. I'm probably going to have a short show today because the Lions are playing football tonight on Monday Night Football. It's the Main Event Football Show right here on the Villain Squad Network. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Put your comments in the comment section. This is an interactive show. We want to hear from you. Today, we're going to talk about this game that's going on here tonight in San Francisco. A rematch of the NFC title game from last year. Lions traveling to San Francisco. In case you've been under a rock and you didn't know that the Lions are playing tonight. Probably going to be a short show so we can get there to the Lions Den in time to start rooting in my new jersey on my birthday. Welcome to the program. We are broadcasting live into Facebook on the Villain Squad page, at Lions Villain Squad on Facebook. Follow the page, please. Over 61,000 villains now and getting bigger every day. Also, broadcasting live into Detroit Lions News Podcast. Our friends Joe Chapp and the boys letting us broadcast over there as well. Also on YouTube at Villain Squad. Also on the Roku Network. Huddle Sports Zone on Roku TV. Big thanks to Bill the Packer fan and Mike the Bear fan for letting us broadcast over there as well. You know what to do. Put it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Let me turn on the comments so I can actually see what you got to say there. We'll say hello today right off the bat. And it's Davey first in the chat. We appreciate you so much, Davey. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you have a great new year. Jordan Mijo in the comments says, hey, Villains, happy early victory Monday. I love the positive thinking. Mark Green in the house. Thank you for the birthday wishes, sir. Thank you, Davey. And be sure to put your name in there. We'd like to give you a shout out as well. Well, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about the NFLshop.com, which is what brought to you this show. Good job, producer. See that QR code on the screen? You can click that and save 25%, minimum of 25% off, I believe, using the Villain Squad Network's link and save money at NFL Shop for any of that swag that you want to get from NFL Shop. Anyway, I'm doing great, man. My bro, Tim Tyler in the house. Happy birthday, Mike. Love you too, man. Take a look at the bad guy. It's John Kapler in the house. Ken Fisher, our good friend. How are you doing, Main Event Mike? I'm so good, man. Another day older and deeper in debt. Lions, the bad guy here with a quick prediction says 28-18 Lions by 10. Ooh, the Lions 3.5. Bad guy says go take it. Lay down the points. Ooh, happy birthday. Thank you. All right. That's enough of that self-promotion. Let's talk about this game tonight. You know, folks, if you were to come onto this very program or in this very room with me on September the 5th of last year, the day of this year, the day before the season started, the regular season started, if you were to come into this room and tap me on the shoulder and say, Mike, I'm here from the future. It's week 17, and the Lions are about to play the Niners on Monday Night Football, and the Detroit Lions are 13-2. I would say, oh, man, this game against the Niners is probably for the number 1 seed. Holy cow, it's incredible, guy from the future. And then the guy from the future says, but the Lions are in second place in their division. What? We're 13-2 and we're in second place in the division? Wow, the Packers must have had a really good year. No. Guy from the future says the Packers have clinched the playoffs because they have 11 wins. I'd say, what? Caleb Williams is the real deal. He's got the Bears with more than 13 wins? No. It's the Vikings. My mind would be blown. The Vikings are in first place and the Lions have 13 wins going into Monday Night Football matchup with the 49ers. The Niners have been eliminated from the playoffs. What world is this that we're living in? Sam Darnold, we knew once J.J. McCarthy went down, they were scrambling. Kevin O'Connell handpicked Sam Darnold above Ryan Tannehill, above some of these other free agents that were out there. They let Josh Dobbs go. He won him a couple of ball games, but he wasn't it. He wasn't a fit for Kevin O'Connell's system. And believe me, Kevin O'Connell has a system in Minnesota. He's a former quarterback, and his system is very particular. And he needs someone who can run his offense. He handpicked Sam Darnold. Don't give any credit to Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa for this move. Okay, we can pat him on the back for bringing in Jonathan Greenard, for ditching the salary of Danielle Hunter and bringing in Blake Cashman. We can give him a big pat on the back for bringing in old man Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore in the corner position to really bail out this secondary after they had a tragic death to a rookie corner and so many injuries and just seeming to be thin on the defense all the way around. Great job, Kwesi. But bringing in Sam Darnold, that is all Kevin O'Connell. If they win this division from the Detroit Lions, you better give Kevin O'Connell Coach of the Year. If for nothing, hell, even if they don't win the division, he, in my opinion, is the front runner for Coach of the Year. Just by virtue of picking Sam Darnold up off the trash heap. Did you guys watch the game against Green Bay? Darnold's got everything he needs to run this Kevin O'Connell system. He can see the field well. That's right, Darnold Schwarzenegger. Don't disrespect him. Insert impersonation here.
Come on! I cannot believe that you do not believe in Donald Schwarzenegger. We're going to keep on winning these games, and we're coming to Detroit. We're going to take the NFC North title. You should have never doubted me. Come on, take my hand. Do it now.
Yes. Sam mother effing Darnold, folks. They are 14-2. 14-2. Unbelievable. I don't care how the season ends. Kevin O'Connell should get coach of the year by virtue of handpicking Sam Darnold, a guy he knew could run his offense. And how about Aaron Jones sticking it to the Packers? Take that. I love it. I think it's a great story. The only problem is my Detroit Lions need to beat the brakes off them next week. It all comes down to week 18, number 1 seed, the division crown. It's going to be unbelievable next week in Ford Field. Be sure to tune into the Villain Report Thursday morning at 10 a.m. right here on this network, where Russell Wayne and I will go through our predictions, and we are going to break down that Minnesota game. We heard from Teddy Bridgewater at the beginning of the show, a former Minnesota Viking, who, by the way, in case you guys don't know, Teddy Bridgewater had a devastating injury when he was injured. It was much like the Tank Dell injury from a couple of weeks ago. It was a dislocated kneecap and torn ACL and ligament damage in one injury. That was the horrible, horrible injury that Teddy Bridgewater suffered. And the Minnesota Vikings just cast him off. I had a little bit of an exception with bringing Teddy Bridgewater in because I feel like Jake Fromm, that roster spot, he's going to get cast aside if this team does make it to a Super Bowl. If this team does get a ring, Jake Fromm's not going to get what's probably owed to him. But welcome back, Teddy Bridgewater, former Viking. Hopefully we get some revenge for you next week and win back-to-back division titles for the first time in never since it's been the NFC North. Never. Next week. It all comes down. Like that? But right now there's a game to play, and that's tonight at 8:20, Monday Night Football, for the Lions' sixth primetime game of the season. We now find out that huge game next week with Minnesota has been flexed to 8:20. That will be another record, 7 now primetime games for the Detroit Lions in one season. What a bizarro world we live in. Tonight against the Niners, who are eliminated from playoff contention, and all of social media is torn right down the middle on what the Lions should do tonight. Should they rest the starters? This game really doesn't mean anything, is what half of them are saying. And the other half says, no, don't let your foot off their throat. And that's what Dan Campbell said in his press conference on the 28th. His quote was, let me just put it out there right now. We're bringing everything we got to win this game, unquote. They are not going to ease up. You're going to see Dan Campbell come out in the first half with all the starters running high-powered, trying to put up as many points as possible.
We're going to bite a kneecap off?
Maybe, and this is an outside chance, maybe if we're up by 24+ as the fourth quarter starts, then you might see Hendon Hooker come out. But after losing the game last year in that building, an epic collapse, one of the most epic collapses in all of sports history. I don't care what you say. I don't care what kind of a homer you are. You're not a bigger Lions fan than me because you don't want to admit that was one of the biggest collapses in professional sports history.
Playoffs.
You're up 17 at halftime. All you have to do is kick a couple of field goals, and the game is out of reach.
But they are who we thought they were.
But instead, you go for it on fourth down, you pay the price, you lose the game, you don't go to the Super Bowl. Immediately after that, your coach comes on and says, look, you may never be here again. And some Lions fans gasped. And now you look at what's happened with the injuries, as magical as this season is. If these injuries prove to be insurmountable, then Dan Campbell's validated in what he said so quickly after that loss. There are so many things at play in the NFL. So hard to win at the highest level of any sport. They're not going to let up tonight, folks. Not after blowing a 17-point lead. If they can get up, that is. Let's talk about their opponent. The San Francisco 49ers, they're still a good team, folks. I don't care. They have some key injuries. Not as bad as the Lions with 19 on IR. but they have 14 on IR. And there's some big names, most notably Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver that gave the Lions fits in the title game last year. He's out, and it has dramatically impacted Brock Purdy. He went down in week 7, and quarterback Brock Purdy for the Niners has struggled to get the ball beyond 15 yards in the air. They are one of the best teams in the league at yards after catch. They have more plays over 20 yards than any team in the league, but one of those plays traveled more than 15 yards in the air. He cannot get the ball downfield without Ayuk. They have a receiver named Juwan Jennings, who's a mid-B receiver. He'll probably have a big game against the Lions between the 20s. But the Lions, one of the stingiest teams in the red zone. The San Francisco D, though, is legit. They've had a lot of injuries over there as well. They rank 2nd in total yards defense, and they rank 3rd in passing yards allowed. So that secondary is tough. It's going to be tough for Jared Goff and company. This is a game we're really going to miss David Montgomery. But they're terrible against running backs, this defense. Devin Achane last week for Miami, 190 yards from scrimmage. Jahmyr Gibbs might be able to feast here, especially the way we block. With linebackers, Fred Warner, we might be able to neutralize those guys and get Jahmyr Gibbs to the second level. Also, the Niners rank, I believe it's 5th in giving up yards to the tight ends. Sam Laporta might have a big game tonight. Laporta and Gibbs tonight need to carry the load. Week 17, Jamison Williams needs 110 yards to make 1,000 yards. 55 tonight, 55 next week. J-Mo gets to 1,000 yards, and he missed 2 games. That'll be quite an accomplishment, in my opinion. But Brock Purdy beyond 15 yards, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Since Brandon Ayuk is gone, Purdy beyond 15 yards, he ranks dead last in the league with only 4.7 attempts per game of throwing the ball in the air more than 15 yards. That's dead last. His completion percentage on those throws is 45.5%, which ranks below in the bottom half of the league. And he ranks 26th in passes over 15 yards for touchdowns. He has only 1 all season. So they have a hard time going long on us. They're going to have a hard time pushing the ball down the field. I expect Detroit Lions to try to jump all over this San Francisco team, and they're going to try to get out to a big lead. That's what I think. If the Detroit Lions win tonight, they're at 14 wins, and the Minnesota Vikings are at 14 wins. So when they play next week, as it's well publicized, the winner wins the division in the number 1 seed, and the loser tumbles all the way to the 5th seed in the playoffs, a wild card. There has never been in the history of the NFL a 14-win team in the wild card round.
You've had enough of that shit.
If the Lions win tonight, it's guaranteed to happen this year. Niners still have George Kittle. They still have Deebo Samuel. These are 2 of the most dangerous guys with the ball in their hand. Even Big George is a big threat yards after catch. He makes tough catches. He's so good at using his body to box out defenders and strong hands to hold on to the ball. George Kittle could give the Lions fits tonight. The Niners seemingly have nothing to play for. But that game last year with the Niners and Lions was really chippy. These guys got a lot of pride. They're not going to let the Lions come in here and walk all over them. They're not going to lay down for the Lions. It's going to be tough. You know, Bill Parcells, the famous coach, once said, "You are what your record says you are. Whether you like it or not, you are what your record says you are." And right now, the San Francisco 49ers are a 6-win team that's in our way. Let's go to the comments and see what everybody is saying here in the comments. Oh, we got some more birthday wishes. Thank you, people. Appreciate that. The bad guy says, we're going to go Lions. We're going to whoop them. Ken Fisher. Okay. Mark Green in the house. Hammered down. No place for a nervous person. 34-10. I like that. 24 points. That's what I said. If we're up by 24 going into the fourth quarter, you might see Hendon Hooker. I like it. Gun Guy in the house. Welcome to the show, Gun Guy. Yeah, that's our producer, Russell Wayne, killing that Sam Darnold.
It's my quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I like this. 2 banged up squads that play tough. One team has it all to play for. One team only has spoiler to play for. I don't know, though. We don't have it all to play for. There is something on the line tonight, though, Jordan, to your point. If the Lions lose tonight, they cannot tie the Vikings next week. So it's not like there's nothing on the table, and that might seem trivial. It might seem trivial, but the ties, they happen. It happened in Dan Campbell's first year, 3-13-1. It can happen. And if that happens next week and we tie, as long as we win tonight, we still win the 1 seed. So I do think, given the circumstances, this is the most important, unimportant game ever that I can ever remember. It's also important because it's week 16. You want to be hot going into the playoffs. You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose to the Niners again with that taste in your mouth rolling into Ford Field playing against a team, the Minnesota Vikings, that are, dare I say, the hottest team in the league. They're riding higher than any team in the league right now. Even the Kansas City Chiefs with 1 loss and locked up the number 1 seed. They don't have as much, what's the word? Inertia behind them as it seems like the Vikings have right now. If you're a Vikings fan, you're watching this, you're saying, boy, Mike sounds a little nervous. He sounds a little worried. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I should be. Maybe we all should be. Brian Flores? Guy's done a lot with not a lot. And now they get Ivan Pace back. Probably their best defender. Definitely the best move Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa's ever made as a GM was undrafted free agent Ivan Pace Jr. And he's back now. John's in the house, says he agrees. However, the NFL controls the refs. Okay, not sure what the point is there. They can control the refs all they want. There's nothing you can do when you're blowing teams out 49-7, 52.
You've had enough of that shit.
The refs can't do a whole lot. There's only so much they can do, even if they were on the take, John. If you're good enough, you can overcome that. And now, if you're one of those people that believe that the players are in on any kind of rigging, I don't know what to tell you. All I can tell you is the earth isn't flat and the players aren't in on it. Okay? Because if that's what we're saying, I don't want to have any part of that conversation. These guys don't walk correctly when their careers are over. They're putting their bodies and their lives on the line out there. They're not doing that for some conspiracy theory. No way. But I digress. The Lions' defense against passes over 15 yards, by the way, we rank 11th. So
Acknowledge.
If you're going to try to overcome your deficiencies tonight, Brock Purdy, with the long pass, you may be barking up the wrong tree. We got a couple guys back there named Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, the best young safety duo in the NFL, and I don't even think there's an argument there. I'm not saying they're better than Kyle Hamilton. I'm saying they are the best young duo in the NFL. I like Harrison Smith, but notice the word young duo. Those guys, will they make a Pro Bowl? Will those two safeties, even if just one of them makes a Pro Bowl? Will Jahmyr Gibbs make the Pro Bowl? Acknowledge me. If these guys make the Pro Bowl, folks, I I might have to build a statue of Brad Holmes in my front yard. Okay? Because this guy's a wizard with his draft picks. The number, if Jack Campbell makes a Pro Bowl, which he's on pace to, his numbers are good enough already to be in consideration. If he makes a Pro Bowl, you should all build a statue of Brad Holmes in your front yard.
Took care of that thing for you.
Inactives for the game tonight: David Montgomery, Teddy Bridgewater, Giovanni Manu, Coyote Asawika, Colby Sorsdahl, Jonah Williams, and Broderick Martin. That means Jalen Reeves-Maybin is active tonight, back from injured reserve from a neck injury.
You like that?
It might not seem like a lot, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, except the position that he plays has been the one that's been hit the hardest on the Detroit Lions. Trevor Nowaski, Ben Neiman, these guys have done a great job of holding down the fort. But Jalen Reeves-Maybin, what he's really good at is as a coverage linebacker. And this is what the Lions are going to need tonight. I think this is going to be the difference in the game. Having good coverage across the middle, limiting what George Kittle can do, because we heard from those other stats, Brock Purdy's not pushing the ball down the field. He's dead last in the league in attempts past 15 yards. So with a depleted linebacker core, he should be licking his chops to play the Lions. So it absolutely benefits us to get Jalen Reeves-Maybin back. By the way, he's an all-pro, not just Pro Bowl. He's all-pro special teams last year. He was the lone representative for the NFC in special teams. They only give you one player for special teams. And Jalen Reeves-Maybin was that player. So that alone should give our special teams a boost. Not just this week, but next week against the Vikings as well. He's just a backup linebacker, but it feels really great to have a backup linebacker coming back in on this team. Derek Barnes, Anzalone, I just go on and on and on. Malcolm Rodriguez, even our backups to the backups have been hurt at the linebacker position. We've been bringing guys up, signing guys off of practice squads. Ifeatu Melifonu's been back, making an impact. He came back last week and made an instant impact with a sack, a few pressures, 4 tackles. So we bring Iffy back. Tonight we get Jalen Reeves-Maybin back. We get out of there with a win tonight, folks. It's going to be looking real good because I believe Alex Anzalone is going to play next week. There's rumors of it. More good coverage linebackers. Carlton Davis might come back. We really need, losing Carlton Davis is a big one. I don't think that one really gets the press that it deserves. Corey says, I think we should try going deep ourselves. Yeah, let's get Waymo tonight. Let's get him his 1,000 yards tonight, Corey. He needs 110 yards. I mean, I know you already pretended like you fumbled the ball to get Laporta open. Maybe we could do something to pretend to juggle in the pocket, Jared Goff, while tying your shoes and get one to JMO. I don't care what it takes. Randy, thank you for the comment, Randy. Why are Lions playing starters? And I respect it. I understand the people on one side of the fence. Why did the Lions go for it on 4th down more than anyone else? Because Dan was a former player, and he feels like he represents those guys that sit on the bench. He said it before. I was that guy. And when you get your chance, you need to be ready to go. He doesn't take your best players are injured as an excuse. He can't. You can't when you're in his position. He doesn't want to hear. Wasn't that his exact words just a couple of press conferences ago? I don't buy that. It's a next man up mentality, yes, but he honestly believes that guy that's sitting on the bench as second string is just as prepared, just as invested in the game plan as the first guy. He really believes that. Oh, my good friends at the P&A Podcast Express. You guys listen to good podcasts, good comedy podcasts, some funny stuff there. One of the only podcasts I listen to, the P&A Podcast Express. No ties this year in 510 games. That's true, Randy. But wouldn't it be nice to have that in your pocket? And I see where you're going with this. He's saying, Randy, I like it. I'm going to leave the comment up. Randy is saying, look, the risk and reward, the reward is not worth the risk. Don't take the chance of getting a frontline starter injured tonight when all you're really playing to protect is in the event of a tie. I get it. But it goes back to core philosophy, core values, who you are as a person, who Dan Campbell is as a coach. Like it or leave it, that's what we've got. We could win with some backups. I agree. But then there's there's always the rust argument as well. Rest over rust. Do you rest them and risk the rust? There's a lot of things that go into it.
You like that?
You've had enough of that shit.
Jordan says, are we under the impression that Broderick Martin isn't performing well with McNeil out? This was his chance to step up. Same thing I said right when McNeil went down, Jordan. Now we're going to see Broderick Martin. Yeah, now we're going to see what this guy's got. And every week he's a healthy scratch. We're not there at practice, and our coach isn't into throwing people under the bus. So, I mean, all we can do is assume, right? What we can do is take what they tell us, and that is we're going to put out the players out there that give us the best chance to win. And week over week, that is not Broderick Martin. So we can only assume that in practice, he just doesn't win any playing time for himself. Because as to your point, there's definitely an opening there for him. We moved up in the draft to get him. And at a position and a time like this in his career, this is exactly where Broderick Martin should be coming in. This is where he should be making his bones right now. Oh, McNeil goes down. But what a story. Third-round pick from Western Kentucky steps in, plays at a Pro Bowl level, but no, he can't even get on the field. I get it. That's frustrating. Purdy will not be so Purdy Tuesday morning. Why? Lions can't get to a quarterback. What are you talking about? Lions can't get hardly pressure. We didn't hit nobody. We didn't hardly hit Caleb Williams at all. We had one sack on him. We didn't hit him. And we put some pressures on him, flushed him out of the pocket a few times, but he didn't wake up the next morning saying, ooh, I played the Detroit Lions. No. Still got a Purdy now. Jordan says, are we under the pressure? Oh, I already read that. Yeah. Right on. What's next? Detroit Lions did pull up Jalen Reeves-Maybin, as I said. This leaves the Lions with two more potential injured reserve moves for the regular season. So if they wanted to bring up Alex Anzalone next week or Teddy Bridgewater, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why Teddy was brought in. So if the Lions are winning big in week 18, they bring in Teddy to take the last series against the team that cast him off after a horrendous injury. Just to stick it in their face. Maybe that's what it's all about. But we have two injured reserve moves left in the season with a week to go. Once the playoffs start, you get two more moves off injured reserve. We got to believe one of those is going to be earmarked for Aiden Hutchinson if we can continue on to the Super Bowl. Some reports coming out today, some video today of Aiden Hutchinson running full speed in a swimming pool. I realize it's a swimming pool. It's almost zero gravity. I get it. It's not really putting a lot of weight on. But if you watch the video, you can tell he's trying as hard as he can. And that's got to be somewhat encouraging when you think that the Super Bowl isn't until the second week in February. So definitely a solid 5 weeks from now, more. That's almost half the heal time for a broken leg anyway. So we got to figure one of those two remaining injured reserve roster moves they can make is going to be earmarked for Aiden Hutchinson. I got to believe that of course, Alex Anzalone will be another. So really they have 4 moves between now and the Super Bowl that they can make. David Montgomery has not been placed on injured reserve, so we fully expect to see him. No team needs to buy more than the Lions. They need to lock up this number 1 seed. And to your point, Randy, that means not taking a chance on a tie. Dan Campbell's going all out tonight. You can bet on that. And it doesn't necessarily mean we'll win. San Francisco's a tough team. They're the defending
We're gonna buy
NFC
the kneecap
champion in
off.
their building. It's going to be a cakewalk. But this Lions team has put up 34 points in 3 straight games, where the San Francisco 49ers have only put up 18 points or less in 4 out of the last 5 games. All the stats, everything points to a Lions victory. Lions favored in the game by 3.5 points on the road. Even Vegas thinks the Lions win this game. Like I said, we're probably going to cut it short tonight, folks, because we're going to try to make some time to get some popcorn in time for the game, right? It's another word for Budweiser, popcorn. It's code.
You like that?
We'll bring in our producer and say hello now before we sign off, because I just like seeing his smiling dome. Every time I look at him, I'm reminded that Ohio State has not beaten Michigan in 3 years. How are you, Russell Wayne?
Shoosh. Yeah. I owe you a day of Michigan gear on the show. I mean, I guess you can choose whenever you want that to do. You're probably going to choose, if the Ohio State goes far, and they make me come on like right before like the semifinals and wearing Michigan gear or something like that. Is that what you had in mind?
Well, here you go, Russ. I actually believe that the Buckeyes will win the national championship.
What?
Okay. I do. I believe that they're going to win the national championship. I think that the loss to Michigan was so appalling to them that look up and down the roster. They have the best team in the nation.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Michigan's here.
Mm-hmm. I think the Buckeyes will win the national championship. I hope they don't. But if they do make it to the title game, that will be the day to tune into the Villain Report and catch you wearing Wolverine gear. Russell, tonight, 3.5. The Detroit Lions, we're going to pick this game. The spread is 3.5. Lions are favored against the Niners. What's your prediction? I want to hear a score prediction.
Well, I mean, I've been listening to what you've been saying, and this San Francisco team is a wounded animal right now. They're not just injured; they're injured in a spot where it's all across their offensive line, and then another layer after that on their offensive line. So this is devastating on that part. No Christian McCaffrey, no second running back, no third running back. I don't know. Maybe the third one's going to get in there, whatever guy they have in there. It's just not the same team. It's not the same team last year. There's no Brandon Owens. There's no deep threat. The Lions should be able to keep everything in front of them and tackle well. And defensively, we should just be able to run the football down their throat. Mm-hmm. And we're going to play with a swagger and an attitude going in there. I know what Dan Campbell said, and they're not going to hold back. I think they're going to go right out there, and they're going to kick the doors in. And, I don't care that you're injured. I think they're going to go up by a couple scores early, and they're going to more than cover that. It's going to be more than cover. It's going to be double-digit win for our Detroit Lions. And if it's not, we're still playing next week, and we don't lose 2 games in a row. So I'm trying to weigh out, how bad I would feel if the Lions lose this game tonight.
Right.
Like, I mean, we come back better than any team ever. Like, in that we haven't lost since back-to-back since 2022. We just
resiliency. That's what the team. That's what they hang their hat on, right?
But I don't think we're going to lose.
The competitors on this team just hate losing so much. That's why when they were asked, what do you attribute this never losing 2 games in a row thing since October of 2022? And that's what Dan Campbell pointed to, was that the most competitive guys on the team are the best guys on the team. And they hate losing so much. And that's why they always bounce back. But losing, I think tonight is big based on the mental aspect of the game. Going into this Vikings game with all the marbles on after beating the Niners, not losing to a wounded animal like you just described. That you just kind of summed up why it's important. Yeah. What do we always say? Good teams beat bad teams soundly. You need to beat them soundly to show you're a good team. So I definitely think there's a lot of mental things at play here.
Yeah, you have. I mean, in that respect, you have to win the game. You know, everybody wanting the rest starters or whatever. It's like you need to sharpen your weapons and get ready for war. I mean, that's what this is right here. And sitting on the sidelines, not being in the game, isn't helping you sharpen your weapons. You got to get ready for playoff football. And next week cannot be undersold. I was talking about this today. This might be the biggest game in regular season history. I don't know if 14-2 teams have ever faced off.
They have not. Yeah, they have not. I can assure you.
It's because it's impossible.
No, it's already been out there on like satellite radio stuff and stuff. They're out there saying that it's unprecedented. Even if the Lions lose tonight, that would be a 14 win and a 13 win. That's never happened.
Right.
So, and there's never been a 14 win team in a wild card round. So, you know, like I started this monologue with tonight, you know, if you did come back from the future and told me at the beginning of the year this is how it was going to play out, I'd have never believed it. I never. The Green Bay Packers are a damn good football team. They've only lost, 4? They've lost 5 games. 2 to the Lions, 2 to the Vikings, and 1 to the Eagles. All of those teams combined have 7 losses between 3 teams.
You know,
so, that's a good team too.
This is epic. This is epic from just last week, as you told me I'm crazy. How can you not root? I wasn't rooting for the Packers. I'm rooting for the Vikings. Wanted to fight because we don't get chances like this. Just as forget you're a Lion fan, forget you're a Packer, whatever fan. You're a football fan. And football fans want good football things to happen. And both of these teams have earned like this type of game where it's like 2 bulls going at it at the end of the season. And this is epic. It's like in college where number 1 meets number 2 in, you know, the last game of the season. And, you know, Ohio State and Michigan have had a couple of those games lately. 1 versus 2. It's awesome. And even being on the losing end of it, it's like, this is great. You're going to go down in history. You're going to look back and go, wow, you remember that time when they were both badasses and they had to figure it out?
Yeah, and the schedule makers know what they're doing.
That's why the smoke.
That's why the Philadelphia Eagles, their last 2 games, were the Cowboys and the Giants, and ours is against the Minnesota Vikings. They know. We saw the Bills and the Jets, these division games at the end of the year. Hell, what's going on with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Baltimore? They knew it was coming down to this, man.
That's right. That's right. We want the smoke, and that's what it comes down to. It's like, you know, you guys have earned it, Minnesota Viking fan. There you go. You have earned it because I wouldn't want it any other way. I didn't want you to trip up right before the finish line and play some meaningless week 18 game that we could just, okay, whatever, we're both in the no, this is we got some cheese on the line. This is kind of like that trophy that you win in between the college teams. You know, you in Minnesota got the jug or whatever the on the line. This is pride. This is pride. We got the NFC North Championship in a bye.
Yeah.
And a bye. Loser gets to kick rocks, get on the road, and play a game in the playoffs next week.
A 14-win team on the road in the playoffs. It's crazy.
Playoffs?
Jordan with a good comment here says, let's enjoy this next stop on the revenge tour. Right. Jared Goff completing the revenge tour if he wins tonight. Avenging every loss from last year other than the Baltimore Ravens, which they were hoping or expecting to get in the Super Bowl. to avenge that loss as well. So I love that call. You can hear that music in the background, folks. You know what that means. That means it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye, Russell Wayne, for the final time this year. It's the last main event football show of the year. Be sure to join Russell Wayne tomorrow on the Villain Report at 10 a.m., where he's going to be breaking down all the PFF scores from the game tonight. Elise Memes in the house wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you, Elise. Tomorrow he'll have all the PFF scores from the game tonight. I know I'm going to tune into that. Hope you will too. I want to say thank you to everyone that has supported us this year on the Villain Squad Network and myself personally.
Mike,
We really appreciate all of you. Go ahead, Russ.
before you sign off, I mean, I had Christopher Walken up here because if someone was going to sing happy birthday to me, I would want it to be Christopher Walken.
Oh my gosh! Don't tell me you're gonna. Is
If
Christopher
Christopher
Walken gonna sing "Happy Birthday" to me?
If Christopher Walken was here right now, he'd say, Mike, you're a very close personal friend of mine, and I want to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, main event, Mike. Happy birthday to you.
Outstanding.
I mean, it's nice to have like connections, to have like real celebrities that can come in here and.
Yeah. I always think about how Sicilians were made. As I was saying, thank you so much, everyone, for all your support all year. Hope you all had a great Christmas. I can't tell you how much Russ and I appreciate you and your support, more than words can say. Be sure to hit the like button, the heart emoji, something. In case you guys don't know, that's how it works. That's the payoff, is from your engagement, your comment, your emoji. That's what we get out of this. And we appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you on the show next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go Lions. Between now and then, God bless each and every one of you, and have a happy new year.